Hello, my name's Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a look at some of the more interesting things that happened in gaming this week, now that my own immune system has ceased to betray me. For now. Since I was sadly indisposed last week, here's a quick capsule summary of what I would have been talking about had I not been confined to my bed all weekend choking on my own mucus. First off, you can now sign up for the PC beta of Project Spark, one of the few titles at the initial announcement of the Xbox One that genuinely piqued my interest. Unfortunately, however, Windows 8.1 is required to run it, which kills any hope I have of taking part stone dead, because I'd rather swallow a fistful of used heroin needles than install Windows 8 in any way, shape or form. And on a related topic, anyone who has pre-ordered Starbound, the spacefaring spiritual successor to Terraria, now has early access to the beta. If you pre-ordered Starbound and can't wait to sink your teeth into it, then you're already playing it, so I don't know why I'm addressing you. If I weren't making this video right now, I'd be playing it too. For those who haven't pre-ordered and are sorely tempted to do so, however, bear in mind it is still in beta and subject to a hell of a lot of change. The last big patch wiped every beta tester's character, so don't get too attached to them. I shouldn't have to remind you, of course, but then again, we do live in an age where people make death threats over a single line in some patch notes. Speaking of the threat of death, Telltale announced that the release date for Episode 1 of The Walking Dead Season 2 is December 16th, right in time to rip your heart out of its chest and grind it into a gutter full of broken glass for Christmas. The perfect antidote to all that saccharine, Yuletide, tinsel and baubles nonsense. And finally, in other news, the PC version of Final Fantasy VIII is now available on Steam, starring possibly the most hateful and annoying protagonist in any Final Fantasy game. And yes, I do include Tidus from Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy VIII is several hours of entertaining cutscenes and bloody fantastic music, I'll give it that, interspersed with days of digging spells out of the ground like potatoes and playing a terrible card game. All while a hateful proto-emo tossbag bangs on about how nobody could ever understand him because he's an orphan. You know who else is an orphan from Final Fantasy VIII? Every other fucking party member. Spoilers. Anyhow, if you like that sort of thing, you can go and buy it now. Personally, I feel you're better off either buying Final Fantasy VII instead, or picking up a cheap SNES from a car boot sale and scrounging a copy of Final Fantasy VI. Be a better investment of your time and money, that's for sure. Moving on to more contemporary news now, the train wreck formerly known as the Spike Video Game Awards was a thing that happened recently, now called the VGX and streamed online instead of broadcast on Spike TV in front of a live studio audience, provided some exclusive trailers as well as some awards and game announcements of genuine interest, sprinkled throughout several hours of pointless, boring, shitty filler, like a handful of gems thrown into a manure pit. Among those gems being a new trailer for Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Unfortunately, I can't give you an objective analysis of this because, oh my god, it looks fantastic! Look at that beautiful fire! Look at this lovely horse! I know, I shouldn't judge a game by its trailer, but I really loved The Witcher 2. I love the dirty, grimy feel of the setting, the writing, the sheer scale of the world, the fact the entire second act of the game can be entirely different depending on your decisions. Look, I'm just a little bit excited by The Witcher 3, okay? Is that a crime now? Speaking of dirty, grimy settings full of shagging and dubious morality, it was announced at VGX that Telltale Games are making a Game of Thrones game, which had already been rumoured for at least a couple of weeks now, but it's always nice to have some official confirmation. That's all the trailer was really, an announcement. Had ravens, a theme tune and the Iron Throne of Westeros, but nothing whatsoever from the game itself. All we can be sure of right now is that if you thought The Walking Dead was full of sad, pointless, tragic deaths, well, you know nothing, Jon Snow. We did, however, get to see some in-game assets from the other Telltale game that was announced, a collaboration between Telltale and Gearbox called Tales from the Borderlands. A fitting partnership perhaps given the similar art styles between Telltale's output and that of the Borderlands games, although the latter does have considerably more shooty bang bang than, say, The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us. It'll definitely be interesting to see how Telltale can take a hyper-violent setting like Borderlands and make an episodic adventure game out of it. It also made me slightly interested in trying Borderlands 2, only slightly though. I can only tolerate so many references to shitty internet memes in any 5-minute period before my eyeballs start to bleed. As for the Thief story trailer, the less said about it the better. Look Eidos, as an old school Thief fan, I want to love your new Thief game. Honestly, I do. You're just making it really fucking difficult. You've given Garrett a love interest. Garrett, of all people. What next? Tribal tattoos? Cute pet? wacky comedy sidekick. By far the most surprising reveal during VGX, and a genuinely pleasurable one, was the trailer for No Man's Sky by Guildford-based 4-person indie developer Hello Games. Everything about it bypassed the cold, dead shell of calcified gristle around my gnarled black heart and gently stroked my half-remembered sense of childlike wonder, which sounds a bit wrong having just said that, but I don't care, because I loved everything about this trailer. There were the ship designs, so clearly inspired by the work of science fiction illustrator Peter Elson. Then there was the bold and vibrant use of colours, which have been something of an endangered resource in gaming for far too long. I also like the fact you can hop in your ship, point it at a random star in the sky and just start flying there without some gobby NPC telling you why you can't. And above all, there's the simple appeal of exploring for the sheer bloody sake of exploring. Not even VGX co-host Joel McHale, who had all the comedic charm and grace of the Hindenburg disaster, could ruin the sense of joy and wonder I felt watching the trailer for No Man's Sky. Sadly, there's no word on when it will be coming out or even what platforms it will be published on, but I'm still looking forward to it. Yeah, that's me being hopeful and optimistic for once. You may not have realised this, but you're very lucky to be watching this video right now. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, at least not for the most part. I mean it in a very sort of matter-of-fact, literal, this video could possibly disappear quicker than a pro-democracy activist in Shanghai kind of way, because this week, YouTube implemented changes to its copyright system that has seen a huge swathe of gaming-related videos hit with copyright claims. Basically, YouTube's Content ID system has gone a bit mad, like Ed 209 at the beginning of Robocop, and started firing on channels for copyright violations left, right and centre. The trigger for this seems to be new rules implemented by YouTube this week saying channels that are part of a multi-channel network, or MCN, such as Polaris or Machinima, must be divided into one of two categories, either affiliate channels or managed channels. Channels which are managed are spared from Content ID's mechanical scrutiny and can put ads on their videos which are approved pretty much instantly. In other words, business as usual really. Channels that have been shunted down to affiliate status, however, now have to wait for their video to be scanned by a robot first before they can be monetized, a process that can take up to 3 days. While the video is being analysed, any views on it will not generate any ad revenue for the creator, so for people who become successful enough to earn a living through their videos, that's 3 days without any income. And if the video contains copyrighted material, then Content ID might just end up funneling all the ad revenue to the original copyright holder, even if the material is used in context and could legally come under fair use. In addition to turning on a bunch of network channels, Content ID has also gone on a general reign of terror, flagging any videos it finds using material from publicly released trailers. Things like game review shows or small weekly gaming news roundups, like this one, have all suddenly been hit by copyright claims. To make a bad situation worse, a lot of these claims are coming from copyright trolls, and not the original copyright holders. The whys and wherefores behind this event are simply far too vast for me to cover here in this little news video. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a topic I'm more than willing and able to tackle. I'm perfectly happy to cut it open like a corpse on the autopsy table and rummage around in its guts some, but that's going to require a special feature-length pixel burn, which I hope to have done for you very soon. In the meantime, the potential consequences of this, both for people like me who make gaming-related content on YouTube, and for you fine people who presumably enjoy watching it, are pretty fucking grim. Content creators like myself are now at an increased risk of our content getting arbitrarily flagged for copyright reasons. All the trailer or game footage I feature in Pixel Burn is used in context, or for purposes of parody and other legitimate reasons that I like to think fall squarely under fair use. After all, if I'm talking about The Witcher 3 or Starbound, then it's only logical to show you a snippet of what I'm talking about. This is even more important for game reviewers, since any reviewer worth a damn will demonstrate evidence of any criticisms they have. If a game controls like a quadriplegic dog nailed to a skateboard with square wheels, then the viewer is best served by showing the terrible controls in action. Similarly, if a reviewer praises a game's visual design, it's far easier and more effective to show you how gorgeous a game looks than it is to just tell you about it. But Content ID doesn't know that, because Content ID cannot judge context. All it sees is me using other people's stuff in my videos, in this case visual material, and for that it could put a claim on them. Now, I can argue fair use and the claim will likely disappear, but that process can take up to 3 days, sometimes more, by which time the topic I'm covering is old news. Meanwhile, for review shows, that's 3 days where the reviewer's critical voice is not included in the wider discussion about a particular game. The only completely safe option from now on is to not use any video game related footage whatsoever, which rather kills a review show or weekly news roundup stone dead, doesn't it? For viewers like you, this means less of the quality content you want to watch. Unscrupulous publishers could abuse Content ID to have negative press or reviews pulled from YouTube, if those videos include even a smidgen of that company's assets, and yes, that can also mean a company's logo. And if you think I'm exaggerating here, you need only read up on how the developers at Day One Gary's Incident abused Content ID to try and get negative critiques of the game removed from YouTube. If muted homogenized vlogs become the only safe option for YouTube video content, then that's pretty much the only content you'll get. An endless stream of talking heads. Some will be talking about video games, but most of them will be yammering on about what they had on their fucking toast that morning, or which member of One Direction they'd really like to marry. Oh well. At least we'll still have videos of cats, eh? That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, then please do let me know, either by clicking the like button below the video or leaving a comment below. At the very least, I hope you found it vaguely tolerable. And if you didn't like it, well, thanks at least for watching this far. You can go now.